Good evening, guys. Rusty here. Welcome back to Impact Dynamics Live for our third Sunday Q&A session. Happy Easter to everyone. I didn't even bring any eggs. I'm sorry. I've got nothing. No eggs at all. Well, I've ruined that. That's off to a fiery start. Hopefully we can get better from there in. Welcome aboard. Hopefully your Easter weekend has been wonderful. A few days off, maybe, if you are off of anything, or a few days just kicking back at home, which is every day for Kerry tonight. Anyway, massive thanks to all the guys who have been supporting this show, by the way, and for the guys who have been sharing those small little clips and stuff. It's been mad. We appreciate you guys, the way you've been putting that out there. We have been, the numbers have been crazy. So someone's watching, so thanks very much if that's you. Already a few guys in the chat. Tonight is Q&A, so we've got no particular agenda. We're just going to be guided by your questions. So if you are watching live, chuck them into the chat. If you've got something, if it's your first time watching it and haven't partaken in that, please do so. It'll be wonderful to have you on board. We've got a host of guests tonight. And they just all turned out to be redheads, actually. It just happened that way. But all the guests several of the guests from this week through, so let's get them up on screen here. All right, gentlemen, we can see you. We'll start in the top left as Zoom dictates. Matty Jones, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, we're going all right. Next one down, Kerry. How are you, mate? All the way from across the Tasman?
Across the ditch. Very good, mate. Fantastic.
Excellent,
Fantastic.
mate. And in the corner, who's obscured by my camera, Plushy, how you going, mate?
Yeah, good, Rusty. How's things treating you?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. It's how was everyone's Easter? Did you guys all eat lots of chocolate today?
Yeah, I think I ate it till it came out my ears, mate.
I might have had a little coma sleep for an hour.
Good. Still waking up. Yeah,
That's all right.
Very good. Excellent. Oh,
not a lot down our end. We had a few for the girls. My little kids, they went for an Easter egg hunt. That was about it.
Yeah,
so.
That's the way. Excellent. All right. Well, we're getting into the questions here, starting to flow through, which is awesome. So we will kick off here. Plus, I'm going to throw this first one at you. This is regarding dry fire training. Which I'm sure you're doing hours per day of currently, aren't you? In preparation.
Mate,
yeah, that's what I thought. Can it harm your rifle at all?
I'm no gunsmith, but your centerfire rifle, so long as it was made after 1950 something,
yep.
it's hardened steel. No damage whatsoever, I think, is the answer to that question for dry firing.
Yep.
Rim firing, on the other hand, yes, you can.
Gotcha. Kerry, do you do any dry fire practice or anything like that? I guess given the current circumstances, that might be useful.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm waiting for the cops to be called on me by somebody looking in through the windows. My top tip is exactly that. Make sure that if you're dry firing at home, that it's not somewhere the neighbours can see you. But I am, and like Simon said, no, won't harm anything, any of the modern firearms as well. Yeah, the only thing I would say is if you're going to do dry firing as well, which I tell people, is if you're going to do like your trigger press or anything like that, actually practice the entire cycle.
Yeah.
Don't just snap up and push down, because otherwise you just train yourself to short stroke your bolt, basically, or short bolt stroke, whatever it is.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, so because I watch people do that, I've done it myself. You just sort of do that and you get into this half a thing. So I make sure I do everything like I would exactly the same way I'd be firing normally.
Yeah, fantastic. All right. Jonesy, I know you deal with building guns and testing them extensively. What's your experience on that?
Mate, as the other fellas have said about centerfire firearms, yeah, you're perfectly right to go dry firing those till your arms fall off. Rimfire firearms, I'm not real sure on what the goes with those, but I've dry fired all of my rimfires as much as I want, and I've never seen any adverse sort of effect on them.
Yep.
I'd obviously be guided by your manufacturer, but as Kerry was saying, make sure you do go through that full cycle of withdrawing the bolt to the rear, ejecting, and putting a fresh one in, or for argument's sake, another snap cap or whatever you're doing, just to make sure you get that whole cycle complete.
Yeah, spot on. I think on the rimfire topic, it very much. I think you hit the nail on the head. It really comes down to manufacturer, because I believe that the Lithgow rifles are fine. They're set up, designed to be able to take that. Others are, but many others aren't. And when you get that firing pin that would otherwise hitting
the back of
the chamber,
the barrel extension. Yep.
Yeah, that would be that's not great. It's not great.
No.
So, yeah, some will help out.
Damage firing pins in the back of the barrel.
Absolutely. All right, another interesting one. I don't know who's got the most experience here, but we'll see. Perhaps we'll have a go at this one. Have you noticed a skill level from X or current ADF or military shooters, PRS shooters that civilian PRS shooters don't seem to have? Have you guys noticed a background from military impacting, consistently impacting how someone shoots or what they bring across to the to that? Jonesy, you look like you've got a response, or you're thinking one through at the moment. Is that where we're headed?
Whilst I can say that generally the ADF or Defence Force members that do enjoy their shooting, and if they are involved in a shooting in the civil side of things, then their skills, you can definitely tell that they have a good sense of where the firearm's pointing, muzzle direction, those sorts of things. It's a definite thing right then and there, and they are very aware of that.
Yep.
Having said that, a lot of other people that are civilly trained and have that experience, then it's also there for them as well, if that makes sense. Not saying that you need to be in a Defence Force to have that sort of discipline, but I do notice that people that are in a Defence Force or something, it's there 100% of the time generally.
Yeah, gotcha. It doesn't. Blushy, have you seen shooting matches?
I've seen, I think, both sides. Both sides of the fence, Rusty. So I'm not. I haven't served. I'm not ex-military or anything like that.
Yep.
But I've seen guys like Dave Taylor, as an example, excels. He's very good at what he does, and that's clearly evident. And I've seen other guys that are ex-military or current military that perhaps aren't as skillful and that natural ability that you're sort of referring to. So I think I've seen both.
Yep.
Would be a fair statement.
Okay. Yeah. No dramas at all. Right. Kerry, anything to add, or shall we jump on to the next one, mate?
More of the same, really. Just I've met guys, civilian and military. I think the one assumption that sometimes is incorrect is that military guys are gun guys. It doesn't actually necessarily. Right. Some of them are there for a career or for other reasons. I've met infantry guys who didn't know how to zero a rifle, and then I've met other guys who were gun guys and in the military and very focused. And yes, they're phenomenal. So I think it's just the individual and what they tend to do. Basically.
Backs up my experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rusty, if I might just add one more thing. From what Kerry was saying, I've seen both sides of the fence in both military and the law enforcement arena. That you have people that are gun guys and they are good to go, and then you have other guys that they're happy to touch their gun once a year and that's it. There's always two sides of the fence.
Absolutely. David Taylor's in the chat. Telling Plushy off for being too kind. So watch yourself, Plushy. All right. Now, there's one question that came up in one of the impact groups that I thought was interesting about parallax. Now, everyone's favourite topic. I won't ask anyone to explain it. But if your parallax isn't adjusted properly, will it cause you to miss a shot, or will it be just out of focus? Kerry, you probably got some experience with, not with missing shots. I'm sure you hit everything, but with parallax and training?
No. Parallax is an interesting one, and it's something I've been wondering recently, even just with zeroing rifles, that I sometimes have guns that will zero quite happily and other ones that seem to be a constant battle.
Yep.
And I'm starting to wonder more and more if it's a little bit of parallax error that's actually in some of these rifles.
Okay.
I've seen guns that just wouldn't, you could actually move your head and get the crosshairs off a paper target at 100 meters. The parallax was so bad.
Yes.
For most steel shooting to a lot of the ranges we probably do, it's probably not so much of an issue, really. But I think when you're trying to chase tiny groups at 100, it actually, I'm beginning to wonder if it's maybe that's what I'm seeing in all these different guns that I'm actually shooting at the moment. It's something I'm kind of focusing on, thinking of in the last couple of months as well. It's just like making sure that I actually set my parallax and make sure it's part of my pre-shot routine, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, you got something to add on that?
Yeah, I think tying it into to PRS, Rusty, I probably 12 months ago, there'd be 4 targets between 200 meters and 500 meters. I would have set it at, say, 350 and put it in the middle.
Yep.
And in the last 12 months, I really sat down and pulled that apart and thought, I'm going to get the most error at 500 meters. So I'll set my parallax for 500 meters and then deal with it in the closer targets where I've got a larger margin for error to deal with the parallax that pops in there. And that seems to be working a lot better for me.
Very, very good. Matt, anything to add on that? But I just take a moment to say you're not getting harassed anywhere near as much tonight, Jonesy. It's
I haven't paid my mate to turn up, mate.
Your groupies are not there. I got it. Anyway, sorry, back to a sensible answer.
Yeah, mate. Just about the parallax, I was a bit like Plushy. I would set it at a distance and kind of hope for the best. But the last match I went to, I actually took the time beforehand to look at each target through the optic and set the parallax and take a note on the actual side parallax of where it was parallax free. And I marked each increment at the different targets out to 400 meters. And I noticed from 1 through to 400, there was quite a sizable error that would have been induced if I hadn't allowed for it by changing parallax. So I added that into my my routine both beforehand and during a stage.
Yep.
And whether it worked, whether it was a placebo effect or whatever, it worked really well. So I can say that when I am shooting at that range, I am parallax free because everyone knows I need all the help I can get.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, mate. Can't. Just have to agree. Yeah, very good.
What I did was I actually put a white paint mark on the side. So often, with a scope, and you'll know, Rusty, when it says 100, it's not parallax free at 100. And depending on what scope and how much you've paid for it, you may need to adjust it somewhat. So when I introduced those marks to make it parallax free at those distances, it made a big difference.
Yeah, fantastic, man. Yeah, excellent. All right, guys, if you are watching, keep the questions coming. We've got a few more to get through here, but I'm sure some reloading questions. Got asked the other night, actually. It was after your chat, Jonesy. I'm just trying to remember the details of it. It was actually there was 2 questions. There was one about spotlighting. And that you would have some tricks that you could put forward for spotlighting. Does that ring a bell, or is one of your many minions leading us up the garden path?
Tricks for spotlighting. I suppose there are. There's a few things that we've been doing for quite a while that help out a great deal.
Yep.
And I suppose a lot of blokes out there that do spotlight would know the pain of shooting at a fox, hitting a fox, and watching it drop, and then not being able to find it.
Yep.
The position from the shooting vehicle and when you get to where the fox supposedly is, it can be 2 different things, whether it's covered in trees or bush or scrub, or it's a completely featureless hill.
Yep.
We've all known the pain of walking around looking for a fox for God knows how long, knowing that you've dropped it but can't find it. So what I did a good couple of years ago is I bought a cheap laser from eBay, just a 1 milliwatt laser, and make it fly under the radar with the fuzz. And I mounted it to a 25 mil scope ring, and I mounted that on a tripod. So if we have a fox that is in a dodgy position across a gully or something like that, I can put the tripod on the ground, point it at the fox, and then we can drive over there and pick it up. Or if we have multiple foxes coming in, we can aim it at the first one and then keep shooting the second one. So we at least know that we have a one fox in the bag, pointed out by the laser, and that works really well.
Yeah, fantastic. So it's a good way to do it. Is spotlighting much of a thing over in New Zealand, Kerry? You guys chase around varmints at all with spotlights?
Yeah, I was actually just watching a recapping on a video of a guy who managed to wear a 270 across his back out spotlighting.
Right. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we've dropped an animal over there. I'm going to go retrieve it.
Mm.
How about no one shoot in the direction I'm going to walk? Was the bit of the conversation that was missed, I think. Anyway,
Okay.
there's a bit of spotlighting goes on. I mean, obviously, I would assume same as you guys. Maybe it's all got to be private land. You can't spotlight in any public, like any of our regional parks. So you
As far
won't.
as I know, that's the case here. It certainly is in South Australia. I'll speak for SA.
Yeah.
So
New South Wales, you can't spotlight in parks or anything.
Yep.
But yeah, plenty on private land and in farms and bits and pieces like that. And to a lot of success. Not something I've done. You see a lot of guys who are basically deer hunting with the spotlights. And I mean, I know guys, who will be out with the roos or the wallabies down south, but I, again, haven't been involved with it myself.
Fair enough. Plus, you've probably spent half your life spotlighting, haven't you?
No, not quite half. Not as much as I'd like. Put it that way.
That's all right.
But I went out a couple of weeks ago spotlighting. And
thanks for the invite.
Yeah, well, sorry, mate. We got to play with a thermal for the first time. I'd actually used a thermal spotlighting, and it was super fun. But it almost takes the challenge out of it. It's almost not fair.
It's super effective. Yeah.
Oh, it's very efficient. Yeah. Things don't even know that you're pointing a rifle at them.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Hey, fellas, what's your experience with thermals? So, sorry, Plushy, you were saying that you used a thermal. How did you find it? Because I've used a couple of thermals on spotlighting nights, and yeah, you can see the animals, and you can pick them out. But I find it fairly time consuming and fairly intensive on that person who is on the spotter.
Yeah, definitely.
How'd you go with that?
Yeah, we were standing in the back of the ute, and we were essentially using the rifle that the thermal was mounted to as the to scan the paddocks. So we were rotating amongst 2 or 3 people because it was a bit obviously taxing, bouncing around the back of a ute, holding a rifle up, sort of scanning paddocks for sure. So I'd agree with that. It is a fair bit of effort to do it that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But we also did a bit of using a spotlight, and then as soon as we got eyes on something, we'd turn the spotlight off and then pick it up with the thermal. That was pretty effective as well.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
What brand thermal were you running?
Good question.
Had a question? You're not sure it's not yours?
No, not mine.
Okay.
I think it might have been a Pulsar, but I wouldn't swear by it.
Gotcha. Kerry, have you done much with thermals over there? Are they popular at all?
Looked through a few. Funnily enough, we set one up for a guy recently that we now need to write some health and safety documentation for pest control.
All right.
Now these guys are different. They're using it semi-urban, so they'll be in sort of parks inside metro areas or something, getting rid of rabbits and possums and everything like that. So
Gotcha.
the only thing we've got as a concern for that is, I believe, and you guys might be able to confirm, that the thermals don't work so well through glass. So if you're looking almost through the window of a house or something like that, you're not necessarily going to see that you're looking into a window of a house of people. Don't know. I'm not sure. It's just something I've heard, and I need to confirm myself. But
Sure.
Yeah, they don't work through glass.
Yeah, so we're doing that, but that's specifically because, like I say, semi-urban. I mean, I've looked through them. Same thing again. They do seem to take some of the challenge out of it, and I suppose that for guys down here, that's maybe the perception for deer hunting, that it's not hunting, it's now culling.
Yep.
But that's fine if that's what you're doing, I guess, is the thing.
Yeah. Very good. Anyone using an ATN scope? The questions come through. Anyone had any experience with that? I've had very limited experience. I've seen one. I guess, like at a sales pitch type thing, and it was okay, but not blown away. But I mean, but the pulsars are the ones that I've used the most, and that's they're very impressive. They are. Follow up question on the dry firing, directed to you, to Jonesy specifically. But if anyone else has had experience with this, shotguns, dry firing shotguns.
Me and shotguns, you're kidding, aren't you?
Well, you're going to follow it up, mate.
Well, what is the question, mate?
I believe you responded to it on the chat, but anyway, can you dry fire shotguns with inertia pins? All the older guys at the club said it's a no-no, but I always do it and I broke a pin on Friday, and I was wondering if it was related to dry fire.
Mate, I do know that shotguns do break pins from time to time.
Yep.
Whether that's from dry firing, I'm not sure. I don't know how much dry firing Teddy does with his shotgun. I wouldn't have thought it would have been that much, but I know blokes do break their firing pins on shotguns semi-regularly.
Yep.
But, mate, I can't really answer that one yes or no, because I'm not really overqualified on shotguns, as we've all discussed.
Yeah. I'm assuming, unless anyone else has got more experience in shotguns, but I'm assuming that Teddy's just said that you can't even spell shotguns, so maybe we won't throw those sort of questions to you. But I'll back up what you said. Like, shotguns do break pins that I've seen. Certainly,
that's right.
And that's out of all the firing pins I've ordered in when I was working in sort of parts and stuff. Shotgun pins were way more 30, 40 to 1 rifle pin. Much more common to get in and to do that. Whether or not, I didn't necessarily know, again, like as you said, whether that was dry firing, but if it's on snap caps, I would have thought they operate very similar way. Although snap caps over a period of time can get worn out as well, and it's important to change them over. But yeah, that's probably the only experience with that I've had.
Yeah, I've never seen a broken centerfire rifle firing pin. Actually, I have seen one on an AI, but that was due to user incompetence. I've never seen any. I've seen quite a few on shotguns. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Carl has asked a question. I know you know Carl, Jonesy, but we'll throw it to Simon first, perhaps. Any tips on bore sighting?
Right, it seems like a loaded question, but anyway.
That's why I threw it to you, not the Jonesy. We'll go reverse around the squares.
I bore sighted 100 metres. If I can, I'll get a nice clean piece of white paper, reasonably tall, maybe 700 mil, maybe a metre high if you can. Look through the bore, nice steady rest. Look down the bore, adjust your scope so it's pretty central. Fire a shot and go from there. The taller the target, the better. It's easier to pick up.
Yep. Okay. Kerry, you would have done this day in, day out, I suspect, with some of the stuff you do, setting guns up for people. What's your experience?
I got I don't know the pronunciation of it. A culminator, whatever it is. The
Collimator.
Yeah, it goes on the front.
Yep.
Like when I was at Gun City at the store, they would first of all, I just remind people the red dot ones or the red laser ones get you within a couple of meters, hopefully.
Yeah.
Bore sighting I found was the same thing. If I was doing it regularly, yes, I could get it on a sheet of paper. Sometimes it was this close, sometimes it was that close. I've just found with the unit I've got now, it's got the bits for all the different caliber sizes. I put it on, and it's pretty much always that low in the same place. It's repeatable with the rifles. So I just find for me, because it's a client's rifle, I don't want to play that game of take a shot, where did it go, take a shot, where did it go. So I use that. I use a big A1, A0 bit of core flute, put it on there, and then I'm pretty much good to go from there. So I mean that's the thing. I used to bore sight it all. Now I just use that unit, and I rate it. It's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. I ran one of those in the gun shop for a long time, and they were really good and effective. One thing I will say on bore sighting, a lot of guys, will go out and they'll have their target up, and they'll be like trying to line up in the center of the target when they're bore sighting. Personally, I've found my results are significantly better when I try and line up on the corner or something like that, because then you end up super high contrast, like a white piece of paper, often on a darker brown background or something like that. So the contrast from that point gives you a really sharp edge to try and actually get bore sighted on. And usually, someone will test me and I'll fail miserably now, but usually if you've got that sort of setup and you can get the gun pretty solid, you can get within an inch, half an inch of where you're trying to actually get to. Usually works really effectively. So that's one little thing that I've seen. Jonies, do you have anything to add to the debate, or was it completely loaded for some experience you haven't had?
Yeah, that one of them was an experience at work, but I'll leave that for another podcast. But that one will be R-rated, I reckon. But from your experience too, Rusty, I'll aim. So if I'm ball sighting something, I'll aim at something really small, get it dead bang in the center of the bore of the rifle, and adjust onto it. And then, as you said, generally I'll be within an A4 page on the paper. And the only other thing after that is if I am not on the paper for whatever reason, where I'm generally sighting in has a big dirt backstop behind it anyway.
Yep.
So I'll aim at that, quick, do a rough adjust, and then I'm good to go.
Pretty sure you also said ball sighting, which I'm looking forward to seeing the tutorial one.
I reckon you've sighted a few balls in your time, Rusty.
We do what we can, mate, to get by. We do what we can. It's quarantine's not the greatest. Okay, now we do have some more questions unrelated to that. Is there any reading material or audiobooks or something like that for someone who is stuck in the house, sitting around, not doing a whole lot? Kerry, is there anything that you enjoy reading or looking at or have done?
Yeah, well, I mean, depends what you want to focus on. One guy I'm plugging a lot, and I suggest everyone, if they haven't come across him, go check it out. And that's Thomas Haglund, THLR. He's got a YouTube channel, but he's also got long range. I've got the DVDs around somewhere, but I also bought them on Vimeo so I can stream them. Yep. Basically, long range from scratch, I think it is, 1 and 2. And it's just quite interesting because he's European. It's just a slightly different take than a lot of the, not American centric, but a lot of stuff that we kind of go through is originating from America. So to see someone teaching sort of the European style of things is quite refreshing, and it's beautiful scenery and beautiful music, great cinematography. I go back and watch that quite regularly because there's a few things he does with the ballistic calculators, and he's big on turning all the ballistic calculations into admin stuff, so you do it before you go out, and then and also just fundamentals. So yeah, I'd recommend that, but I mean, everything, just absorb it all in.
What was the name again on that, Kerry?
THLR is the guy's YouTube channel, thlr.no. He's also known as Norway, as like his forum name sometimes. He's from Norway.
Okay.
Thomas Haglund. And I'm actually, as an aside, I'm looking, once the lockdown's all over, I've got one of his, he designed a reticle design, which I'm going to order and get in for a Minox. So that'd be my next new toy, basically.
Very good. You haven't got the Minox yet?
Well, it's one of those things. Not only we don't have many of them in New Zealand anyway, but this particular reticle is a special order. So it's a speed reticle. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, fantastic. That's right. Plus, what keeps you up at night when you're reading about anything shooting long range, whatever?
Couple of sources. 6mm BR or Accurate Shooter. I spend a fair bit of time. They do the Daily Bulletin's really good. They'll do a bit of a, like a one-page summary of articles that they have and things like that. If it catches your interest, you can click on the link and read further.
Yep.
I spend a fair bit of time reading those articles. As far as podcasts, I do like Everyday Sniper with Frank Garley. It's a bit of entertainment plus some very, very factual information as well.
Yeah.
And
who doesn't love
VP,
a bit of a Bigfoot or an alien conspiracy? I mean, that's always good fun.
It's great. Yeah, if you didn't like shooting, it'd still be good to listen to.
Exactly right. It's good fun.
And VP Precision as well, with Jake Vibbett and John Pinch. Those guys are, if you like PRS and you want to learn more about it and try and get better at it, I'd strongly recommend you listen to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Jonesy, can you read?
No, mate. Picture books only for me.
Okay, good. What picture books have you captivated at the moment?
No, mate. It's much of what the other fellas have said. There are a few good podcasts out there. The Modern Day Sniper and obviously Precision Shooting podcast.
Don't talk about too much, mate.
Shameless plug, shameless. There's also the Brian List books that I want to get into. I haven't got any of those yet, but they're on my list of books that I'd like to read.
Yep. Kerry, any afterthoughts?
Well, no, I was just going to say I should probably plug the multiple websites I run that have a lot of reading material on the podcast with my interviews with Frank Gully and Todd Hodnett and everybody else. The other guys to add to that, I've got the Applied Ballistic books here. They're a great read. Some of them very technical. They're the kind of stuff you get notebooks out on and take notes and read, and you refer back to them. So they are awesome for that. And then the new kids on the block, I guess, is Modern Day Sniper. which is Kaylin and Philip Vallejo, who I'm trying to line up for a chat for down here as well. So,
nice.
but yeah, same thing. It's just a, I don't know. That's the wonder of the internet. There's so many sources out there now that you can just be spending all day watching this and reading this stuff. So
yeah,
you've really got to sift through it, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is the thing. There's also a lot of waffle, I suppose. But anyway, so so back to my useless trying to shamelessly plug it. The bloke.co.nz. So I've been putting articles up there for years. So
yeah,
a lot of that stuff, I don't think people even know how much is up there sometimes, including myself.
Yeah, there is absolutely a lot of content there. It's wonderful to see.
Kerry, another fella that I've looked at over there in NZ is that Nathan Foster fella. His website.
Yeah,
and he's done quite a lot of research and shot a few things and everything. And yeah, he seems
a few things.
Yeah, he's knocked a few over. So I've stalked around his website a bit. It's quite a bit of knowledge on there too.
Very good.
Yeah, Nathan Foss is really good, especially if you're interested in terminal ballistics. So you're hunting and wanting to know what it's going to do at the business end of things.
Yeah.
And he puts a bit of stuff out for accurizing like ticker rifles or Remington. So everyday man stuff that guys can do at home. So
very good. Yeah, I'm gonna throw into the debate as well. We'll go the VP Precision podcast, really, really good. The Ply Ballistics books, I think are excellent. Really got to suggest those. They're excellent to see. Wonderful to get on board with, and all sorts of really good options. Anyway, just while we take a moment, got to thank Projectile Warehouse. You could just spend some time, hours and hours, looking at the website if you like. Got to get a plug in. But the Projectile Warehouse is the sponsor, and you can use the code ID Live number 5 to get 5% off the website. ID LIVE number 5, and that'll give you 5% off the website if you are sitting at home and bored and can jump on the posting side of things and get mail orders out to you. Anyway, so that's what's going on. Also, just give you guys a little prep that tomorrow night my guest will be a guy called Chris Hooper, who many of you will not have heard of, but he is an accountant by day, and a very good one actually. But he is also a shooter, does enjoy shooting. We're going to talk a little bit about that and about history, but he's also going to do a little bit of a breakdown, very just not fully detailed, but just a little bit of an overview for you guys of some of the government stimulus stuff so that you can know what perhaps is available to you and how you can go about that. So hopefully that is somewhat helpful. Anyway, that's coming tomorrow. That will be very good. Normal time, and jump on if you've got any questions, because he'll jump on and answer them as well. Right, we've got the crew back here. Welcome back, guys, as we work our way around the challenges with Zoom and not being willing to pay any money for Zoom. Pretty much. Oh, Jonesy's moved. He's gone outside. It's looking good, mate.
I'm out of the shed, mate.
It's looking.
I'm in a good-looking paddock.
Yeah, not wrong. Also, the background's pretty impressive as well. Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah, well done. All right, here we go. I totally read this as birth control question for all the boys. Breath control question for all the boys. Do you let off the shot with a lung full of oxygen or with a half lung capacity, or do you expel most of your breath like Ben at the Long Gun project? Plushy, we'll kick in with you, mate.
Too easy, mate. I've got two techniques that I use depending on how out of breath I am when it comes to PRS. So if it's a prone stage and there's no movement involved, I'll wait till the natural pause between breaths. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That works really well for me. But turns out I'm not as fit as I'd like to be. And sometimes when people make us run, you breathe really heavy and your heart's beating really quick, and there's not too many natural pauses between breaths and heartbeats.
Yep.
So what I end up doing is I'll have a controlled breath out, a slow controlled breath out.
Yep.
And I'll shoot on the controlled breath out. So it's a steady sort of 3-4 second window there where I can shoot off of that.
Yeah, very good. Kerry, you got anything to add on this one?
I guess same thing. And what I teach is natural respiratory pause, but also just remembering to keep on breathing is probably the main thing. Because before we even worry about where we break the shot on, is watching people nearly collapse because they haven't breathed in an entire 90-second stage. Basically.
So true. Yeah, Jonesy, you shoot a lot, mate. How much, given that you pull triggers a fair bit all day, how much does this play into your mindset when you're doing that? Is this virtually just natural?
Mate, so if I'm trying to zero a gun or shoot for groups or whatever, then I will pay attention to it.
Yep.
If I'm shooting a stage, I have no idea. I'm just I'm honestly, if I haven't got the presence of mind to sit there and worry about my breathing, I will hold a breath at whatever stage I'm about to release a shot, just so my reticle is nice and steady.
Yep.
But depending on what position you're in, if you're prone, well then you do have some control over it. But if you are anything other than prone, standing or kneeling or anything like that, I just hold my breath and wait for my reticle to settle down, and then I'll let rip.
Very, very good. Yeah, I think
at work, there's depending on what we're doing, but if we're doing accurate stuff, well then I will take note of it. But other than that, it's just send it.
Just send it. Do any of you guys have worked on sort of the interrupted breathing, where you no matter where you're up to in the cycle, if you need to take the shot at that moment, you pause for it and you can replicate that? Plus, have you done much with that?
I haven't really given a lot of thought, but once again, if I'm shooting prone and I've got a rear bag, my heartbeat and my breathing cycle doesn't affect where my reticle is, where it's aiming a whole lot.
Yeah,
if you take the rear bag away from me and then I've got to rely on a fist or something like that, then yes, that becomes much more important.
Okay, I shall remember that for the next stage I write where you're involved. That if your last name is
no
Plush,
rear bags.
Yeah, if your last name is Plush, then there's no rear bags. Yeah, nice.
Sorry, mate, I've got some special ones for you next. You shooting Steel Slam?
No, mate.
Well, if anyone's shooting Steel Slam,
I've retired, mate. I'm just getting into media production. That's all I'm interested in doing now. I'm done.
You made it through the run and gun without doing a hammy, mate. You did really well.
I made it through the run and gun.
Hey, so was there any videos of that?
No.
Really? No, not you in particular, Rusty, but was there any videos of the running gun?
Probably.
It sounded like it was a bit of fun.
Yeah.
There probably is a few, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can you chuck them up?
Sure. All right. I'll see what I can find.
Do your job, Rusty. Do your job.
I think I've got one of
3 videos a day, not enough for you, Jonesy. Good. All right. Well, we'll try and get some videos up of a running gun. In fact, we might try and rip some apart. Actually, that'd be good fun. All right. CSH says, I was watching Gavin Tube's latest video today. He set up a ripper progressive press. Speaking of progressive press, good segue. Does anyone load up the precision reloads on a good quality progressive press? Hands up if anyone uses progressive. Kerry, all right, we'll throw over to you, mate.
Well, I have, I should say. I've had a 550 set up with tool heads. So we're talking like wooden. Unique Tech floating tool heads, bearing kits from Unique Tech and everything. So, I've played. I suppose I actually do a lot of my brass prep on a progressive, a 550, the 650 or the 1050, no, but the 550 without the auto indexing is the one you want, because if something doesn't quite work right, you can keep it at that station and redo it. The 550 is the one that would normally do that, and that allows you to, once you get going, work that brass through. I then have actually found for seating projectiles and powder drops, I still go back to a manual, but I have had a system set up where I could do the powder drops through the Dillon powder dropper. But because I've got the auto trickler there, I use that instead down to the 0.02 grain. In regards to accuracy or whatever it is, I suppose I refer back to guys like David Tubb, who wrote the white papers on how to accurize or to get your 550 running well. And then the 6.5 guys did a video a few years ago as well about their little tweaks to their 550 to get the most out of it. So, it can be done. It's,
Yeah. It is what it is. What press do you use currently?
Well, I've got the Reading Turret press I'm looking at the moment, which is sort of somewhere between it's sort of a progressive kind of, you've got multiple heads on it. And then I've got the coax era as well.
Yeah.
So it just depends what I'm doing, what I'm loading up.
Yeah,
I'm saying that I haven't done any reloading for ages anyway, because one, I've been shooting other people's guns, and two, when I get a chance, it's normally just I grab some factory ammo to put through. So
I know that feeling. Yeah. All right. Jonesy's gone down to do some testing, so we'll just interrupt him while he's testing. How's that velocity going, mate? You're looking consistent. You've lost an arm.
Mate,
I'm sorry. Was that a reloading accident? You've lost your hand?
Yeah, mate, a primer went off. Mate, yeah, that photo there was taken a few years ago, but it was a cracking day, and I thought that was worthy of putting up.
Okay, good. What press do you use?
Oh, mate, I'm probably coming from the lower end of things. I've got just the Lee Breechlock Challenger. I've been using that for years. I've tested the run out on it. I've loaded rounds. It's concentric within a couple of thou, and mate, I've just used it.
Okay.
The ammunition that I get out of it is usually pretty low in ES and everything like that. Yeah, nice one. So yeah, I've just been using that, mate.
Cool.
If I was going to upgrade, it'd be to maybe a Foster or something like that. Yep. I do like a single stage press. I think it's a fairly big leap for me personally to go to a progressive press. I don't know if I get much out of it.
Gotcha. Plushy, what about yourself, mate? What are you running? Oh, have we lost your audio? I think we've lost your audio, Plushy. Well, something's happened.
Oh, righto.
Oh, there you go. Now you're back.
Just muted him.
That's it. I mean, fine. What you were saying was amazing. So.
Oh, without doubt. I like your background picture, Rusty.
Cheers, mate. I'm just hanging out with all my friends during social distancing while we can. It's just chilling with these guys.
I'm pretty basic. I've got a rock chucker and just the Lee that I use for decapping. On my list of things to do in the next probably 18 months is to set up a progressive for 223.
Gotcha.
So I can get some volume out rather than worrying too much about some precision.
Okay. Very very good.
Rusty, when it comes to
Yep. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, mate. You there?
Yeah, I'm good,
mate. When it comes to using the single stage press, there's a couple of things that I do to try and speed it up somewhat. Because time is money, and we've all everyone doesn't like reloading on bulk sort of scale. So there's a few things that I've done to try and speed it up somewhat.
Yep.
And that involves I saw it on one YouTube channel somewhere. And that was, I just added a chute on the other side of the press, so that when I've loaded that round, I just flick it off with the next one, and it just goes down the tube into a box full of ammunition into a soft cloth.
Yep.
So things like that, just to speed things up.
Yep. You're full of all
and
sorts
increase
of
efficiency.
little tricks, aren't you?
Oh, mate, it's all a bit rough, but it works. So
yeah, nice. I did used to use the Dillon 650 loading, by the way.
Yeah.
For everything, but I would do it for for everything basically except powder and primer for the accurate stuff, which is really what Kerry was saying, the brass prep. But then my spotlighting rig, I would run the 650 for that, and kept hitting the foxes, so it was good enough for sure. Probably at the moment it would do me fine in a competition because I probably wouldn't shoot that well. But if you were progressing further and further down that path and practicing a lot more than I do and shooting more comps than I've been able to, then I'm sure that will catch up with you. It's not as good that I've seen anyway. So but if you go down the path, there are things that you can do to progressives to increase that accuracy, particularly replacing a lot of the standard parts. So that does work. Got a question on sighting in and testing loads. Jonesy, you were down at the load testing a moment ago. What do you test your your loads out to distance wise?
So obviously zeroing and testing for shooting for groups, I'll just shoot it at 100. That's pretty on everyone's standard. But then for everything else, I'll shoot out to whatever distance I can.
Yep.
It really depends on what I'm trying to do. But for my 204, I've shot that out to 500-600 meters sort of thing, and it's generally dropping off by then. The little 32 grain Z Max.
Yep.
But everything else, as far as I can, I'll send it.
Very good. Plus, you have reasonable experience in F class and such, and so your distances were a lot further. What were you doing for that?
Specifically F class, I would get a group at 100 meters and would test it at 500 and probably 1,000 meters and make sure it's still behaving as you would expect it to at those distances.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and again, you'd get a weird one that would group at 100 and it wouldn't group at, say, 500 or 1,000.
Yep.
Couldn't explain the science behind it, but if it wasn't working, didn't proceed with that one, look for something else. But as far as PRS these days, I mean, at the moment, the majority of stuff's under 500 meters. So I'll test at 100, I'll test at 500 meters, and if it looks good, I'm happy.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay.
I'm not, like I say, I'm not chasing quarter-inch groups.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of other things that are going to bring you unstuck before a half-inch group will bring you unstuck.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I think Andy Little touched on it. He said that my wobbling on a barricade will have more an effect than a half-minute sort of gun would on the barricade. So yeah.
Yeah, well, Andy does claim that excuse because he's just not very good. That's mainly.
Yeah, mate, he's preaching to convert it over here.
Not wrong. Kerry, what about yourself for distances? Are you a couple hundred meters for your testing?
Same. I think same as Simon for most of it, especially if I'm setting up somebody else's rifle. It's like zeroing at 100, and I'm doing it at 100 because it's removing the atmospherics and wind and everything else at 100. I get a lot of guys asking me to zero their rifle at 200 and do all the testing at 200 because they're basically wanting that point blank, maximum point blank, optimum point blank zero, whatever it is.
Sure.
So I actually still do it at 100 because it removes variables and then just dial out to 200 and change it to 100. Well, and then send them a big document explaining what maximum point is and what they're trying to achieve, and your actual figure is 215 meters and dial up one, So I'll do that, and then we'll shoot out as far as we can. Where we normally shoot, we have 550 steel always there, and if we go up the hill, we can get out to 700. Okay. But that's really just quickly confirming the calculated ballistics for these client rifles. And that's pretty much the same thing I'll do for me, but same thing as well. I'm not chasing teeny tiny little groups anymore because I just need to do more shooting full stop and more positional shooting.
Yeah.
Because if I could shoot half, I think people go like, oh, I've got a half MOA gun. It's like, that's on a bench with big heavy bags and everything like that. What are you shooting off a, hasty position or anything alternative? Because that's more relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that
a good zero. Sorry, mate. I think that a good zero at 100 is pretty much crucial for most things. With my spotlighting gun, I'll dead set zero at 100. I'll go check that zero regularly or with every new batch of ammunition to make sure that I'm on the money. Because there is I do have minor differences between batches of ammunition that I want to get out of it.
Yep.
So I will check that zero at 100 and then I'm happy that the ballistics that I've entered previously into my AB or whatever I'm using is on the money. I always want to make sure that zero is solid, and then I'll come up with my usual 1 MOA, so to speak, or 0.3 mil, so I can use that MP maximum point blank range sort of thing for the rifle.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Got a really interesting question here from Teddy. Regarding reloading, so I'm going to throw this one to you, Simon. Although I'm sure we'll have a crack at it. Are there any steps in reloading that's only for wank factor? That's not the reason I asked you, by the way, Plushy. Just the terminology. Just figured you'd know. Pill measuring and weighing. I'm only a lowly hunter, and many of the steps that the long range guys do just seems wanky.
I don't think it's wanky. I think there's the thing called the point of diminishing returns.
Yep.
You see it with drag cars, you see it with race cars, you see it with anything where you're trying to chase top level performance. There's some things you can do at the beginning that make a big difference. Mm-hmm. And then as you progress further down the path, everything you do results in a very small incremental increase in return on investment, basically.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, no, there's not a whole lot of things that are wanky, but if you're hunting and you're going for minute of fox at 150 meters, then there's a whole lot of things you don't need to waste your time doing.
Yeah.
If you're chasing minute of fox at 500 meters, there's a whole lot of things you need to be doing.
Yeah.
That would be my take on that.
Yeah, very good. Kerry, anything to add to that?
Leaving all your brass in a corn cob tumbler for a couple hours so it comes out nice and shiny is probably the wankiest. Literally, I don't know what it achieves. It looks awesome, and I used to do it, but I don't bother anymore. I just want them clean, get all the crap and everything off it. That's pure. I've had arguments about, some of the more polished stuff actually sticks a little bit better. You better have a bit of carbon or some dirt on it. Anyway, but yeah, exactly the same thing as what Simon said. It just depends what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to get groups smaller than your thumbnail, then yeah, you're going to go to the nth degree. But if you're hunting and 50 meters in the bush, guys are telling me they want a half or a quarter MOA gun for a 50-meter bush gun. It's like, what? No, you don't. You need to walk through the bush. It's going to help. So yeah, and then at the other extent I've got, which I haven't played around with a while, but I got the instant indicator in the Reading, so you can measure from to ogive, I think it is, on every single one, and set the ogives all at the same length, not overall length, because they're different. Whether that makes any difference, I don't know, but I know people who, because they think that way, they need to remove that variable so they don't question themselves while they're shooting. Did I do everything I can do with my ammo? And once they've removed all of that, then they've only got themselves as that final excuse. And that's what they have to do. That's their personality. So if it's your personality, you want to do it, you got the time, go for it. I don't have that time.
Jonesy?
Yeah, well, I'll knowing Teddy, I know that, the sort of relating processes that he goes through, and we both shoot 204s out of the side of the truck.
Yep.
And I will weigh every charge, and he thinks that's a waste of time. He just throws, straight out of the thrower, and that's, good enough for him. And his gun shoots well, he shoots well. There's no dramas there. But personally, I like to, weigh every charge so that when I miss, I know it's me, not the gun.
Yep.
I'm just one of those sorts of fellas. So I'd like to take every variable out as much as I can. Things such as, Kerry mentioned it about, tumbling brass and polishing brass. I don't do any of that. I don't even clean primer pockets. I can tell my brass on the range because it's the dirty, filthy stuff laying in the dirt. So if somebody finds a dirty, stinking piece of brass, chances are it's mine. So instead of trying to compare how shiny your brass is, I don't even do any of that. I've got an ultrasonic cleaner, and I have used that, and that does a pretty good job. But I don't even clean brass. I don't clean primer pockets because I've not done it I've done both, and I haven't seen any noticeable difference from doing that. So I just cut it away. There's no point doing it unless it makes a decent improvement on the target. Yep. For myself, which I just haven't seen. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's I think we've all sort of had a different take on it, but coming back to the same point, and I would agree as well. I mean, I've thrown brass together and done the thing where I haven't weighed every charge and just sort of pumped it through, and then I've gone absolutely meticulously and had the tweezers out to grab little kernels out and done everything, and I think you're spot on. It really depends on what you want to do. If you're smacking foxes, even smacking foxes at 300, 400, 500 meters. You need a lot more attention to detail at 2,000 meters than you do at those distances, and that's where weighing projectiles may really be significantly useful. But anything shorter, it's wasted time for some stuff, or it depends on what level of competition you're up against. If you're shooting bench rest,
exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about very small groups deciding, very small measurements deciding whether you are winning or coming dead last. And so, I can totally get that someone would go, why do you bother with all that? Because it doesn't help me hit or miss. You're right. In that scenario, it won't make any difference. Kerry, you just sent us a link for an article there on your page, which is excellent, about the difference between reloading, hand loading. Do you want to give us a little summary so we can get a few people to go along to it?
I guess that was the thing. it's semantics, but there's a lot of people are reloading where they just need to reload, and they're doing it for the economics of things, and they just want it to be good enough for their hunting loads, or they're reloading because they're doing something where they can't, it's a weird caliber or a semi-wildcat that they can't buy factory ammo for. So they're reloading. It's good enough. They're not too worried about it. Guys doing pistol shooting, or a lot of, once upon a time when we had ARs, the AR shooting for 223, where they're going through a couple of hundred rounds in a weekend. Well, they're doing it for speed and economics. My 650 or the 1050s were set up for 9mm because I could, do it a fifth of the price of factory stuff. And then you've got the hand loading guys, which are the guys who are measuring every single charge weight and going to the nth degree. So that's that difference between reloading and hand loading. And for most people, reloading is probably all they need to do. And then that hand loading is really going into that world of the boutique and just, being fastidious with it. And it's evaluating time. And the one thing, I did a spreadsheet a while ago, and it's sobering to do it because everyone does a spreadsheet to justify their purchase of a 550 or a 650 Dillon. Where's my break-even point as to if I make 1,000 rounds a year, how many? And we did the same thing, but the one factor we didn't include in there was labor. So if you put labor in there, it really skews everything over. But people counter that and say, well, it's a labor of love, or I can do it in the evenings and everything. It's like, cool. Not everybody does that. So if you account for labor in there as well, that becomes a different thing.
Yeah, it's really really sensible way.
So the article covers that off. There you go.
Just posted it into the live chat, and we'll throw it up as a comment as well in the description. So we'll make sure people can go check that out. But if you're looking for something to do this pandemic, don't wait till the next pandemic. Do it now. Go and check out Kerry's site.
I think
I shaved the beard off for you, so go look at the website.
Before we kick off, I'm surprised we've not had beard comments, given that the three of us with our beards probably still didn't match yours, Kerry. So,
well, actually, if they go to the site, they can see the article and the video of me shaving it off with the two kids as well. So and look, I'll put it this way: one of the reasons I shaved it off is getting caught in chassis rigs all the time and the cheek risers.
Whatever.
So with all the adjustments you hook in. I feel sorry. Yeah, so it'd be because it was down to here, it would wrap up in it, and I'd go to get up, and especially if I was in a hurry, I'd bring the rifle with me and put anyway. So.
That's all right, James.
I find that at work. With the work guns. I'm always getting it caught in the buttstock of the rifle.
Yeah.
What about, especially if it's an adjustable, mate, with the knobs or something like that.
Jonesy, we're talking about beards, mate. Talking about beards.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I know what you're thinking about.
I think Kerry's actually a closet ranger. He's gone back into the closet. But with the three of us combined, like it'd be like Power Rangers, we can make a super mega power ranger.
That's what you were going to bring
super
to the discussion.
Power ranger.
Oh, great, mate! You should get on TikTok there, Jonesy, with dance moves like that, mate. You would be all over this.
Oh, Rusty, we should get Steve Pasfield on. We could have really gone for the quartet.
Yeah. Mate, I didn't want to blow up the internet when everyone needs it during quarantine, dude. I didn't want to break it. Good.
Hey, Rusty, I think back in the day I mentioned to my wife, I said, look, if I buy this reloading kit, it'll be cheaper.
Good.
I think she's figured it out now, though. I'm pretty sure she's figured it out.
I think she's figured you out, mate. Yeah. It's,
yeah.
Oh, very good, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up.
Thursday.
We're going to wrap it up there. Because otherwise we're just going to get worse. Because I'm out of whiskey, so it's time to move on.
Hey, Rusty. Yeah. If I can, just one more thing. Yeah. Teddy asked me about wanted me to elaborate on one of the things that we do. One of the things that we do when we're out and about of an evening.
Okay.
I know
still shooting related, or is this?
Yeah, still shooting. Yeah. It's nothing to do with public toilets. But so when we're out spotlighting, we're not shooting foxes and the like. Obviously, we use fox whistles, but I've got a Bluetooth speaker which I actually Velcro to the front of the vehicle, and I Bluetooth straight from my phone to the Bluetooth speaker, so that that can be playing out the front of the vehicle, calling things in and getting its attention.
Yep.
And we're sitting in the cab, happy as Larry, not blowing each other's ears out with the whistle. So
nice.
Yeah, that's one other thing that he wanted me to explain. So anybody who's out there, if they get a Bluetooth speaker and do that,
Mhm.
it makes a big difference to your calling of the night and your success rate, because anything out there Fox related, it's going to be looking in your direction. You're going to pick it up with the spotlight.
Yeah, nice, man. We used to have our Hilux. We put wiring through, and so we actually had an inbuilt amp into the
Yep.
console at the top, a little volume switch for it. You'd plug your phone in,
Yep.
because back then you had to plug your phone in, and we'd have these two big horn speakers that'd stick onto the front. And so you had these two
Yep.
glaring speakers, and you would be. I remember belting through paddocks in the Flinders Ranges with zebra noises going, because nothing else was working, and they were coming into zebras. So we would do that, and
Yep.
yeah. But no, you're right. Get that noise out there, and we used to just drive along with the noise blaring, and then as soon as you caught eyes, everything stops, everything goes quiet, and then you start whistling them in.
Yep, we have them coming running in, and it's pretty crazy how many you see out there. And I think Plushy was talking about the thermal. With something getting their attention, you almost don't need a thermal, because they're looking your direction.
Yeah,
you can see them. If they're fairly shy, they're always going to look at you at some stage, so you can pick them up. But then you can just keep an eye on them in the spotlight.
very good, excellent, gentlemen. Well, thank you very much for coming on and spending your Sunday Easter evening. Thanks to your families for letting you away for a little while. And down there, is that still cognac, Jonesy? You still finishing the bottle?
Yeah. I haven't finished that one yet. So yeah.
Okay, still going on it. Excellent. We've got a photo there of Kerry, and that looks like Timmy.
Small pair of binos. Yeah, it's Timmy.
With a massive set of binos. I'm not sure how we. Oh yeah, you boys can see that. We'll put that up somewhere on the thing. That is huge. I've seen those. They're good. Have you got a story to tell with that one, Kerry?
Not really. Apart from the fact I said to him, "Hey, what do they actually look like?" He's like, "All right, let's go have a look." So we actually wandered out the front of. That was at Shot Expo down here in Auckland. We just wandered out the front, and it's an excessively large pair of binos. I forget what they were. I mean, they're for staring at the stars with, really, but yeah, they were great. We had a hill a long way away, and I could see what people were having for lunch. What the topping on their sandwich was.
I think that's Tim from Extravision, isn't it?
Certainly is, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good dude, that one. Shout out to him if he's
good fella. Good on you, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, gentlemen, we'll wrap up. Thanks, guys, for watching tonight, and thanks to each of you guys for coming on and spending a night with us.
Thanks, guys. Good on you.
How do we follow if we're following any of you guys? How are we following you, Kerry? What are your connections that we can track you down on?
Easy, thebloke.co.nz.
Yep, that's the main one. You can find.
Just look for that.
Instagram,
yeah, it's the main one, and then there's Facebook and Instagram pages. But go to the website; it's got links to everything else.
Awesome, Jonesy. What are we? Aussie pest popping.
Yeah, Aussie pest popping on YouTube, and other than that, I'm at my house.
Okay. All right, we'll be there soon. We'll put the address up a bit later. Yeah, sounds
Just pop over, man. I'll put the kettle on.
and Plushy, any socials, or what are you plugging?
Oh, I don't plug anything, mate. Don't follow me.
I love it.
I've got cameras. I'll follow you on the way home.
Don't follow me. I've got no idea where I'm going.
Fantastic. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Wonderful to see you all again. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being involved with it. Thanks for throwing some questions our way. It's always a pleasure, always good. I hope you have an exciting week, whatever it is that you are up to. We'll be back tomorrow, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got a few other shooting-related guests. Thursday night, we've got Steve from Outer Edge Projectiles coming on to talk reloading and projectile design and all that sort of thing. Really interesting guy to speak to, really knows his stuff, and can get very technical if we need him to as well. So prep your questions for that. And then Friday night, we have another special guest for Friday night to wrap the week up. More on that later. Again, a little reminder that you can jump over to Projectile Warehouse and get 5% off there using the code ID Live with the number 5 on the end for 5% off the entire website. And we will hopefully catch up with you guys again very soon and be back tomorrow night. Stay safe, stay healthy, and catch you then.
Hey, pretty baby. Don't down.